A few weeks ago, the Chicago Bears essentially ended the Green Bay Packers season. Now, Green Bay will travel to Chicago with a chance to redeem not only that game, but this season, this rivalry. This is why we follow sports, for games like this.
You are Locked On Packers, your daily Green Bay Packers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Peter Bukowski, and I cover the Packers for The Leap, a newsletter I would love for you to subscribe to. Subscribe to the podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find podcasts, you will find Locked On Packers, the number one Packers podcast on the internet, and the show for fans who know what happened. They want to know why and how. Thanks to everyone who makes Locked On Packers their first listen every day. We hope you like starting your day with us as much as we like starting our day with you. The Packers get the Bears in a 2-7 grudge match. The Packers going to Chicago, and this is the game that you wanted. Not just because of the matchup, not just because you feel like you can beat this team, that because 118 of 120 minutes played between these two teams, the Packers were the better team. Not just because of that, but because they're the team that took the division title you could have had. Because they're the team who stole a game against you that you gave away. You allowed them to steal it. But that essentially ended your season as a NFC North contender. I understand you lose to the Bears. You could have won your next two games. The Bears ended up losing their next two games. But let's not pretend like winning the division didn't give the Bears everything they needed to not play as hard as they could the rest of the year. Okay? We can't just assume everything would have taken place the way that it did. But those two games are instructive, much like this season is instructive for the Chicago Bears. This Packers team is just better, and they get another chance to prove it. And don't you rarely in life get the chance to right or wrong. Rarely in life. It happens in movies all the time, on TV and books. You truly get a chance to redeem yourself. Here is your chance. Here is your chance at redemption, to quiet the conversations about Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, to quiet the conversation about the Nation Bears, to quiet the conversations about Matt LaFleur's future, to quiet the conversations about a disappointing end to the regular season, 4 straight losses to close out. This is why you play. And this is why we watch. This is why you're a sports fan. Games like this. That's why you follow sports. Rivalry games in the biggest moments. That's why we watch sports. That's why we watch sports. And is it going to hurt a little bit more for Packers fans if the Bears are the team to knock them out of the playoffs after they were the team to steal the division right from out under their noses? I'm so worked up that I can't even get a sentence out. Yes, it is. But as Matt LaFleur said, why do it if it's not going to hurt when you don't get what you want? Why do it if it's not going to hurt when you fail? This is everything. This is everything. These are the games that you live for as a player. Certainly, from my standpoint, as someone who covers this team, I live for weeks like this. I can't wait for this week. Is there a lot of pressure on the Packers? Yes. Bring it on. That is what you invited when you traded for Micah Parsons. That is what you invited when your general manager said the time is now to start competing for Super Bowls. This team can still go compete for a Super Bowl. I know not every Packer fan believes that. I believe that. The Packers believe that. The last time we saw Jordan Love start and finish a game, he was unbelievable. Against the Lions, against the Bears, for the first half against the Broncos, and then his whole team fell apart. Not his fault. All of a sudden, they couldn't block anybody in Denver. Seems like Zach Tom is going to be ready. Javon Bullard escaped without major injury. Evan Williams is going to be back. Xavier McKinney, Josh Jacobs gets the week off to rest. This is going to be the healthy version of the Packers. Yet Micah Parsons is not going to be in the building. Well, he might literally be in the building, but he's not going to be on the field. But guess what? This Packers defense played extremely well for 58 minutes. And it took a Romeo Doubs onside kick blunder for the Bears to score 2 touchdowns. They had 9 points with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They could not do anything all day against a Micah Parsons-less Packers defense. We're going to talk about the defense in a minute. But this is why you paid Jordan Love all that money. This is why Matt LaFleur is the head coach for games like this, because you're going to need a plan against Dennis Allen. Now, this is a banged up defense. Cedric Gardner-Johnson went down against the Lions. Jared Goff had over 300 yards passing this game, had some bad turnovers, some unluckiness in the red zone. This is a team that just like every ball bounces right to a Bears defender. No ball caroms harmlessly to the ground against them. They do seem to have luck on their side, even in a game that they lose to the Detroit Lions in a grudge match for them. You get Josh Johnson, the third string quarterback for the Washington Commanders, and they score 24 points on the Eagles. And you get to stay in the 2 seed as opposed to being in the 3 seed. Now, the look-ahead line for this game was Packers -1.5. It opens Packers +1.5, but they are minus odds on the money line, -106, the Bears -110. So our friends at FanDuel see this game as extremely close. Extremely close. And that's how it should be. That's how it should be. A rivalry game. Let's see your best against our best. That's what we do this for. And I'm telling you right now, this is the game I wanted. This is the game the Packers wanted. And now you get the opportunity to either prove it that that's what you wanted, or it's a be careful what you wish for, right? You let the Bears in this position. Now you have to go to their place and beat them. Well, I know there's been a lot of allusions to a certain season 15 years ago. And what happened? Well, in the final game of that season, the Bears lost a meaningless game. The Packers were able to get in as the last seed. And eventually the Packers knocked the Bears out of the postseason in one of the best years in Bears franchise history. All the momentum, all the flowery things being written and said about the Bears, the Packers can put them back in their place where they have been for the last 20 years by going to Chicago and beating them on Sunday. That's it. And then you get a chance to go and play spoiler in the rest of the NFC playoffs. Whatever happens after that would be gravy. Because then you got to go to Seattle. They're the number 1 seed. You don't have Micah Parsons. You don't have Tucker Kraft. That's going to be an uphill battle. Packers can certainly go win that game. But you go out and you right this wrong against the Bears. And I think you can feel pretty good ultimately about where the season lands. You would certainly love for more than that. But a game like this can define your season. A game like this can define your legacy for Jordan Love, for Matt LaFleur, to say, look, you guys are still little brother. You need to wait your turn. In order to do that, this is where the Packers defense need to step forward, because I'm not worried about the offense at all. We'll talk about that next. Today's episode brought to you by our friends at BetterHelp. The new year doesn't require a new you, maybe just a less burdened you. We all carry things that weigh us down or hold us back, and therapy can help you identify what those things are by offering an unbiased perspective to better understand your relationships, motivations, and emotions. That's where BetterHelp comes in. Make it easy to get matched online with a qualified therapist who can help you work through what's holding you back. All BetterHelp therapists are fully licensed in the US and work according to a strict code of conduct. They match with you with a short questionnaire that identifies your needs and preferences. With over 12 years of experience, they typically get it right the first time. BetterHelp makes it easy to get matched online with a qualified therapist and sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/lockedon. That's betterhelp.com/lockedon. Today's episode also brought to you by our friends at Drip Drop, one of my new favorite products, because plain water just doesn't always cut it, especially when you're grinding through long days, hitting the gym, or just trying to stay consistent with your health goals. Now's the time, right? New year, new you. Well, how about new year, more hydrated you? I've started using Drip Drop as part of my workout routine. I love the taste. It can be hard to find an electrolyte solution that isn't disgusting, right? Well, this is science-backed formula trusted by firefighters, medical professionals, and over 90% of top college and pro teams because it rehydrates you faster and more effectively than water alone. Right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 20% off. Stock up now at dripdrop.com and use code LOCKEDONNFL. Today's episode also brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks. The holiday season, one of the best times for sports. Big basketball matchups, playoff pushes, it's all happening at once. And while we're all making choices every day, one of the most fun places to make the right call is Prize Picks, the easiest way to get in a daily fantasy lineup. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, lock in your lineup, and you're in the game. It's simple, fast, and available in 45 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. And the new Stacks feature lets you choose the same player up to 3 times in one lineup, like more on QB's passing yards, touchdowns, or rushing yards. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. The Packers defense ultimately let them down in the Bears game. Now, that was after miscues. That was after some special teams debacles. It was all there. It was all there. The Packers defense gives up a 4th and goal. They had a 3rd and long. They get a face mask. But I was heartened by what we saw for the first 3 3/4 quarters in that football game. I understand the wheels came off against Baltimore. But then, with backups and playing for nothing but pride, Green Bay went out and held the Vikings starters to 16 points. I understand J.J. McCarthy went out in that game, but they were not going to score 30 points or something crazy in that game. The Packers defense, with all backups almost, Javon Bullard and Evan Williams, really the only regular starters, and they rotated. They didn't play together. Isaiah McDuffie also borderline, like he's the starting Sam linebacker when they go to base, but he plays 20-30% of snaps in a regular game. Everyone else, we're talking about backup players. Brenton Cox had 5 pressures, including a sack. Colin Oliver, making his NFL debut, had 4 pressures on 15 pass rush snaps. Now, is Colin Oliver going to play in a Bears game? Probably not. But Brenton Cox is. And you're going to need someone to chase around Caleb Williams. Barron Sorrell had 3 pressures, a sack, and a number of good plays in the run game. He looks like someone who should actually be in a playoff rotation for the Packers. Played one of the best games by a defensive lineman in Green Bay, not named Micah Parsons, this season. We saw the Packers in the second game blitz the daylights out of Caleb Williams. And he could not make them pay until the very end. 4th down, the Packers screw up very simple coverage with Nate Hobbs and Keyshawn Nixon. Well, Nate Hobbs is not going to be out there. It might be Trayvon Diggs. That would be weird if it was Stephon Diggs. Matt LaFleur left open the possibility that Trayvon Diggs would start the playoff game, and I'm sitting here telling you right now, I bet he does. I bet he does. I think that's where they are with this cornerback room. I bet it is Keyshawn Nixon, Trayvon Diggs, and Javon Bullard in this secondary with Xavier McKinney and Evan Williams. And I'm fine with it. I really am, because I think that you want eyes on Caleb Williams. And this is not a defense that at least at the receiver position has been able to take the top off the Packers. Now we will see Rome Odunze, if he's able to go, been dealing with this foot injury. If he's able to go, is he going to be at 100%? Probably not. Now Luther Burden, explosive player, not a consistent player. DJ Moore, explosive player, not a consistent player. And I think Jordan Love is going to keep his foot on the throat of this Bears defense. That down-to-down, play-to-play is one of the worst defenses in the NFL. They just are. They do not pressure you. They are not going to be able to pressure Jordan Love without blitzing. And so that is going to put a lot of pressure on the Bears offense to score. Now, we saw them do it against the 49ers. I think the Packers straight up have a much better defense than the 49ers. They just have more, even without Micah Parsons, the Packers have much more talent on their defense right now than San Francisco. I think their defense is much closer talent-wise to the Lions right now. And again, we just saw this game play out. It took overtime for the Bears to get to 20. In fact, they had 16 at the end of regulation, the same as they just scored on the Detroit Lions. If the defense replicates or something close to it, what they did in the first game, even with the onside kick, this Packers offense, Matt LaFleur, they have a terrific plan against Dennis Allen and this defense. They were able to score with backups. They were able to move the ball with Malik Willis. This is all going to come down to the red zone again. Can the Packers get stops? The Bears have been clutch in the red zone, especially against the Packers. Except with the obvious exception. I don't remember if that play was in the red zone, but the game-losing interception, I think it was. If the Packers are efficient in the red zone, they will win. Because I think this defense can get enough stops against an explosive but inconsistent offense and an explosive but inconsistent quarterback that they will win this game. The defense is going to be key. Can you stop? Can you stop them in the red zone? Can you not give up big plays? One of the best defenses in the NFL, not giving up big plays. That's going to be the key for Green Bay. And here's your chance to show it's not just Micah Parsons. This defense is better than that. The Packers, it's here. We're Sunday. We're a week away from the game. The Packers are going to win. It does not scare me to say that. It does not scare me at all to say that. The Packers are going to win in Chicago. And it will be a lot quieter from a certain section and that fan base on social media. All right. If you haven't already checked it out, we did a live reaction to the Minnesota Vikings game. If you care about that, God bless you. But that's in your feed as well. We have a squad show from after that game. That's in your feed as well. We'll have a squad show on Wednesday. Of course, follow me wherever you get social medias. Follow the podcast wherever you get podcasts. Hey, go be an everydayer. You get members only access to the Discord server, a Packers fan chat, plus ad-free episodes to Locked On Packers, compatible with all the big podcast platforms, iTunes, Spotify, all the good ones. So we'll be there for you. And of course, we will be live after the game, after the Packers beat the Bears in the playoffs, so you can stay Locked On Packers.